Hey guys, what is up? Lefty back here again, and thanks for checking out the video. So today, I'm going to be doing a quick little video with regards to appendix carry and ways you can kind of mitigate some of the risks inherently that you have with carrying a gun. So let's get right into it. Alright, so as you may have noticed, we're kind of in a weird particular place in the corner. If you actually were to look behind me, I have just a plethora of shit just laid about. So kind of like a somewhat clean corner just to kind of shoot a real quick video because I've been a little bit busy, as you may know. Most people probably don't, but some people probably will do if you check some other shits. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing is, like I said, is some quickies or something like that for kind of ways to mitigate the danger of carrying appendix, which is my preferred way of carrying a gun. Now, I will be doing a video about carrying a gun, specifically in the appendix location and stuff like that, and kind of a little bit down the road, but I want to do a quick video just kind of explaining ways you can kind of mitigate the inherent risks when you have a gun pointed at your junk. So let's get right into it. So first quick tip quickie is obviously getting a gun that is a good fucking gun, mainly that is reliable and it's safe. For carry guns, I do not like doing anything that is going to inhibit or reduce any type of safety that's built into the firearm. So any type of thing that has to do with the trigger or reducing maybe some of that plunger take up for the actual striker block safety, I do not fuck with that at all. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, especially when this thing's pointing at my dick. Not a big fan of it. So that's rule number one, and quick tip quickie number one is get a firearm that is reliable, drop safe, and something that is not going to go bang until your finger actually presses on the actual trigger. Now, if you want to actually carry a gun that has a safety, an external safety with the thumb or whatever, you know, if that makes you feel better, completely fine. What I would not recommend is carrying a goddamn gun with no round in the chamber but rounds in the magazine. That thing is basically a hammer inside your pants. The idea that you're going to be able to pull that thing out and cycle it under stress effectively and efficiently enough to actually deliver rounds afterward, I would rather not have to think about any type of action like that. I would rather have to just pull and point and pull the trigger. You know, personally, that's just me. But yeah, so that's what rule number one is. So rule number two is going to be get a good holster. I like hardcore plastic, Kydex, whatever you want to call them, holsters. A couple of reasons for this. One is that they don't fold in on themselves. I'm actually kind of pressing a little bit. As you can see there, it flexes a little bit, but it's not going to collapse. From too many videos you can watch online, people have really stupid fucking holsters that are starting to fold in because they're the leather, Uncle Mike's pleather, weird ass like nylon holsters and shit like that. I don't want any piece of this holster to actually start to fold in toward the trigger. And my personal opinion is too, I don't want any type of like shirt guard or anything like that. I think this is actually just a little bit too high for me, but you know, I've used these for forever, so I'm kind of used to it. But as you can see where the issue may come in when I go to holster and I get a little bit of that Kydex poking into that trigger guard, you can see how that can be an issue. So obviously, you know, I don't like the high shirt guard shit. I don't like it, but if you have a good holster, and hopefully, you know, you do, Kydex is probably my preferred way to go for that reason, just because it won't fold in on itself. And then also, again, don't have anything that's a high shirt guard thing that can slip into the actual trigger guard of the firearm. Just kind of basic, obvious shit, right? One thing that you can do as well, that's kind of my next tip, is when you're handling the firearm, one, never handle the firearm all willy-nilly. It is a gun and it should be loaded or as treated as such. That it needs to be treated like that, like it's loaded. So the way I like to do kind of my manipulations of the gun is it's never touched unless it's need to be touched, and when it is touched, it's touched or it's used very effectively, if that makes sense. So I'm not just playing with it underneath my shirt. I know some of the younger people probably do this where they kind of want to touch it, and you know, if they're new to shooting, or excuse me, new to concealed carry, which I do want to do a video on as well. A lot of people like to touch it and kind of fidget with it like that. Don't fucking touch the gun. When the gun is in the holster, hands are off, and then when you need to grab it, hands need to go really fast to it and get it out. So that's kind of a quick tip quickie there as well. The last one I think that you really needs to be done is when we actually do put hands on gun. Couple of things. If I'm going to pull my gun and I need to shoot immediately, you know, obviously once that fucking barrel is out of my holster and I'm pointed away from my body, trigger finger can start to relax a little bit as I start to bring barrel to threat, and then it can start slowly breaking that shot. And then once I get to full extension, the shot actually will go off in slow motion, if that makes any sense. So what I do when I am not shooting, right? So let's say I need to draw or I need to get a gun in my hand. Any type of, I guess you would call this kind of administrative gun handling, if that makes any sense, where I'm not pulling the gun and I'm pressing to fire. I'm pulling the gun and maybe I feel like there's something that's going on that I need a gun in my hand right now. Whenever I'm holding the gun and not immediately firing, the finger, let me back up. So when I pull the gun and I want to fire, finger finds this little groove here between the slide and the frame on the Glock where it kind of locks in. It's very comfortable. I pull it up. Once I get it on threat, trigger goes into the trigger guard, and then I just start pressing the trigger. Any type of administrative thing, so maybe, you know, I'm searching for a light or blah, blah, blah. You know, maybe somebody's over here and I want to have a gun and I think somebody's in my house, some type of shit. Finger goes high and away. Every time I'm manipulating this gun that I'm not directly going to shoot something with, the finger goes on top of the slide. This mitigates any type of shit that I may accidentally get scared or something like that and have a negligent discharge, right? So any type of when I'm pressing out, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm going to reholster. As I bring it back toward my body, finger will go high and up on the ejection port. If you're right-handed, you can actually just slip it in there, which is actually a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, finger will go on top of the slide for me because I had no ejection port to go into. And then as I reholster, that's where I keep my reference point. Thumb flags out, finger goes on top of the slide, and then it's in. And that's pretty much it for what I do for administrative kind of gun handling that kind of really mitigates that type of inherent risk, I think, when you're carrying a gun. A lot of people like to do this all the time. I don't think it's 100% necessary, but I damn well make sure that any type of administrative movement of the gun or anything like that, or if I'm running with it, finger goes high and away. So if I'm not pointing at a threat or I'm not pretty sure I'm going to be shooting in the next second, I'm going to put that finger up and away if I'm doing any type of like running or movement with the gun, or the gun is going from here into the holster. So that is one of the last tips. And obviously, the last tip that I'm going to say is obviously make sure your holster is clear. Sometimes people get stupid shit caught up in there. This also kind of goes into the way you dress. Don't wear stupid shit that can get snagged onto shirts or any of those little fucking buttons or any of those like little zip tie things that can stretch and like kind of scrunch up your sweater type thing. Don't wear any of that shit. So that is pretty much it for the kind of the quick tip quickies. And then obviously that kind of goes into making sure your holster is clear. When I go to reholster, have a nice glance down, never fucking hurts. Especially because I don't want to be fishing around for the thing and then all of a sudden I catch, you know, a trigger guard on something else, right? So it might not look as cool, but having the shirt up, clear, and then finding it and putting it away, then stop fucking touching it, right? That's, you know, how you can. And also, last one I think is most important is just don't do fucking backflips with your gun. That's probably the best thing that I think anybody can give you for a piece of advice when carrying a gun. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. That was a little rambly, little jumbled, but I have some shit to do and I wanted to get this done. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Be good.